Next, we're going to look at strategies for dealing with student disruptions, especially with technology. You're going to find that you're in different scenarios, and we want to have you thinking about plans you can have in place so that way you can properly respond to those scenarios and prevent things from lingering throughout the year. One of the main scenarios that we see, especially with technology, is off-task behavior. This behavior is basically when students do anything other than what they're supposed to be doing, especially on a computer. This could be from watching videos on YouTube, to surfing the web, to playing games, anything that you don't want them to do. Whenever you see this happening, it's always appropriate to give the student a verbal warning and address the issue with the class so that everyone knows what they should be doing. Another strategy that's effective is the "if I close it, I'm the one who opens it." Basically what that does is, if you notice that a student is repeatedly off task on the computer, you'll close the student's lid and give them directions for what they should be doing. After giving the student some time to think, you can have a conversation with them, and if you determine that you believe they'll be on task, you can open the computer back up and allow them to continue with their task. If you do not feel that they are going to be on task, then you will leave the computer closed and give them potentially an alternative assignment that hopefully would be a little bit more rigorous or a little bit more work, so it does not encourage the student to want to do that alternative. It's always appropriate to call home if there's a problem. Most of the time, parents are more than willing to address the issue, and they're happy that you're taking a proactive approach. If you find that none of these ways are really working, it is possible to get a student placed in a penalty box where they are not able to access things other than essential technology tools, and just also refer back to your student handbook for guidelines that are specific to your school. Another scenario that we see, and this is more for the middle school and high school, is that the student does not have his or her computer, or doesn't have the computer charged and forgot a charger. Just note that tech does not loan computers or chargers to students for the day. This means that students are always responsible for their computers, and they should have them so they can complete all class requirements. If a student does forget a computer, you can always give them an option to work with a partner if that's possible. They're always allowed to share a cord with another student. Just encourage your students to make sure they have their own cord at the end of the day, so that way there's no losing of the cords and there's no confusion about why someone doesn't have their cord all of a sudden. And then also, like we said in the last one, if the student is not prepared for class, it's appropriate to give them an alternative assignment that does not require the technology. But just make sure that you emphasize that it should be challenging and it should not encourage them to want to forget it again. Basically, we want to build that repetition where the students always bring their computer because they know it's an essential part of their learning. Another scenario that you might face is just low student motivation with whatever the task you're doing. What you're going to need to do is dig deeper into the problem and talk to the student. Most of the time, there's an underlying reason why that student is having low motivation. It could be something related to home, or it could be something related to learning. So just provide student choice when possible, and try to connect prior knowledge to what they're doing so you can make it applicable for them. And also try to motivate them if there is something going on outside of school, and let them know that you have their support while they're in the school. And then if you still are having issues with students, just refer to your student handbook for other guidelines. There are options, especially at the middle school and high school, for having students stay after school to complete tasks if they cannot get them done when they're supposed to be. And then the last one we're going to look at is students not following directions. Basically, to prevent this from happening, just make sure you're providing instructions in multiple ways and staying ahead of the students so that way there's no downtime. If you find that students are still having issues, look into the problem further. If you find that the students are being off task, just make sure that you're addressing that. If you find that the students are just excited and they're just anxious to get into what they're doing, just have that conversation with them that they need to make sure that they are following all directions and doing what they need. Essentially, what you want to do is create a culture so that the students know that they are able to help each other, and that way there's no questions as to what they're to be doing, and they don't have to come to you for every single thing or every question that they have.